Welcome to our short series on stress and health. I am Joanna Ruth, and I'm bringing you this series so that we can all become a little bit more fluent on how stress is involved in our wellness. In this episode, we are looking at a clip from the YouTube channel Levels. It is talking about trauma and chronic stress affecting your wellness, your metabolic wellness. Now, we all have a big problem. Our whole entire society has a big problem. We have been ignoring stress, ignoring trauma forever. Well, forever, as long as modern society has existed. Why? Because we don't have a solution. We kind of have solutions. We have the solution of psychiatry, which brings you pharmaceutical approach. We have psychology that brings you understandings of behavioral change. We have counseling where you can go and talk about your problems and put it all out on the table, and maybe you'll come up with a solution. And now we have something called emotional alignment life coaching that I have developed. And it is not like psychiatry or psychology or counseling. It's way different. It's helping you understand what you believe that you don't know that you're believing. It's quite the revolutionary technique, but it isn't new. You see, this is something that I discovered myself slowly and developed this technique, but I was informed by all these different ways that I was trying to resolve my own traumatic interaction with the world. And one of those techniques that I learned was the traditional form, not the 4 sentences, but the traditional form of Hawaiian native tradition of healing, which is called Ho'oponopono. So in Hawaiian, that translates to make righteous or in line with God, nature, etc. This is why I call my style of coaching emotional alignment, because it is to do with your emotions. And we all know that when we're stressed, we are feeling. We are feeling things really strongly, and we are perceiving that those feelings are very negative. And that's what we call stress. When there's an interaction, we have emotions that we don't know where they're coming from, and we don't know what they're doing to us, and we're just having to experience them. And this is the big problem that the modern world has, that the traditional world had one up on us. The traditional world didn't have pharmaceuticals, didn't have a quick fix, didn't have any ambulance coming to get them. So they had to work out how to prevent illness so that they would continue on and survive and live well and live long. And one of the ways that the Hawaiian tradition developed, and I would not be surprised if this same style of technique exists in other Indigenous cultures as well. It brings people together, and no one can leave until the truth is found. You know, truth shall set you free. And it actually does. In small communities, people know what's going on with everybody and over a lifetime as well, not just in the moment. In our modern world, we don't have that. We don't have anyone looking out for us in that way. In fact, the modern society poo-poos that, doesn't want that, wants separation. doesn't want people prying. We want what we call our privacy, which is not such a bad thing, except when you have some problems that you don't know how to work out those problems, you don't have anyone who's been observing you. Now, emotional alignment coaching can assist with that little gap that has been occurring in modern society. However, I don't have time to come into your life and observe you. So, in a counseling format, we talk about your perceptions of what has happened and how you feel about these things. And we reconcile. It's like balancing the books. And the difference between you telling me a story and me hearing your story is the fact that I'm very, very informed about the connections between what will have occurred in the past and what it has created in your thinking and how that has come forward into today. And as you tell me the answers to my questions, which are often thought to be very strange, although I think they're very normal, I can see the look on my clients' faces. Why is she asking me that? It's got nothing to do with the problem that I told her about. We have this problem and we need a solution for this problem. We're all going down the gurgler because we have stress that we don't know how to handle and we are getting sicker from it. And we can change the outside environment as much as we can change it. We can develop ways of cleaning the outside environment so that it's not confronting our bodies too much. But if you have an inner environment that is constantly confronting you, you got a problem. So let's have a look at the levels clip about how serious this problem of trauma and stress really is in our lives.
A lot of us are used to pushing through the mental stumbling blocks of trauma, but are you aware that traumatic experiences and long-term stress can impact your health? It's true. Potentially traumatic childhood experiences and stressful events in adulthood can alter our physiology and make us more susceptible to dysfunction, no matter how resilient you are. Oftentimes, we don't even realize that we might be carrying emotional weight from struggles we faced in the past. That emotional stress can have physiological consequences that stretch forward all the way from childhood, affecting every facet of our bodies, including our metabolism. A study of 144,000 people showed that nearly 61% of respondents went through at least one adverse childhood event, which indicates that these situations, while unfortunate, can be pretty common and can have lasting impacts. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, can really alter the course of an individual's biological progress and health. Of course, it's not just past issues that cause these sorts of toxic stress responses. Even those without notable problems from childhood can experience health issues stemming from chronic stress. If you're processing adverse childhood experiences or dealing with chronic stress, there is hope for more positive metabolic outcomes. Important insights can come from working with a therapist to explore traumatic factors that might be impacting your life. Conversations around trauma can be sensitive and aren't easy to unpack. In the same way, this topic may not be easy to unpack. Physical, mental, and emotional health are intrinsically connected. A decline in one sector can often signal suffering in other areas of our well-being. So, be sure to consult medical and mental health professionals if necessary.
Most people still believe that cleaning up their mind environment is optional. And I believe that is the biggest mistake that you could ever be making. I have lived on both sides of the fence. I was born into an incredibly messy mind environment where my people were ignoring the grief that they needed to work through. They shut down all of their emotions to the point that I believe my father died early because he couldn't sense what was going on in his body. At the age of 35, I had been living since the age of 3 without feeling any of my feelings, and I had to go on a journey of learning how to feel again, not just, oh, I just have to open up and feel. No, no, no. I had to feel every horrible, devastating, frustrating, I can't even describe it because it makes me too upset to take myself back there. It was years and years and years of my body telling me, I had to start listening to my body telling me that there's some disturbance going on. I was so attuned to other people's feelings because I couldn't feel my own. Throughout my whole childhood, I became an empath because I couldn't feel my own feelings. And then I had the challenge of working out, this feeling I'm feeling, is it theirs or is it mine? That took a few years as well, to no longer be confused about receiving other people's feelings because it had become normalized for me. And then there was my feelings involved, and I had to work out, what am I feeling now? Is it mine? Took me a long time. I've investigated. I've opened my heart. I've changed so much of what I believed, and I didn't believe that I believed it. And so when I realized what I actually believed, because I could see it in my world, all of a sudden I was looking for it and I could track it back. And when I tracked it back to believing something that I didn't want to believe and I didn't think that I believed it, but here it is. I believe it. The devastation of that in itself was like grieving all over again. I had to do this process so often, like peeling off parts of myself that I knew exactly where they came from. They came from my family members, which is very hard to take away something of yourself that actually was given to you by someone else who is supposed to love you and look after you. It's been quite a journey, but it has completely informed me so that I can help other people in a very, very fast manner. They don't have to go through what I went through. Everybody feels like they haven't got their mindscape sorted. And when they speak to me about it, oh, I'm 70 something and I'm still not sorted. And I might say something like, well, it doesn't not that much effort. You're judging something that you haven't ever done on how you feel about having it all in a mess. And if you haven't done it before, then you don't really know what's involved. And they reply with, oh, everybody thinks it's an impossible road because they haven't got examples of people doing it before their very eyes. But I know how easy it is and how possible it is. I have a series on emotional alignment using an actual client session, which I run through over 9 videos and I explain the session and you see the parts of the session. In that one session, it was possible to relieve the client of her inability to obtain more for herself in her life. She would try and try and try, and she just couldn't. She couldn't get it to happen. There was self-sabotage going on, and she couldn't figure out why or when or how. And so she came to me wanting to break a 5-month weight loss stall. And we discovered that it was to do with a very small trauma that she didn't even realize was a trauma. Most people don't. And we worked out that it was linked back to that. And when we resolved that trauma by bringing the light to it, oh, I can see it now because there's light on it. Bring it into the light of your conscious mind is basically what we need to do. And then it doesn't make sense anymore to keep that belief because it doesn't make sense. It's never actually made sense. It was just a reactionary protection. That's what happens when you have a trauma. And with that resolved, all of a sudden, within 5 weeks, I get the report, oh, I've lost 6 pounds in 5 weeks. Changed nothing. Oh, and she bought a horse, which she's wanted to do for years and years and years. Her whole adult life, she'd wanted to have a horse of her own, and she could never, ever figure out how to do it. And nothing changed in her life, but she figured out how to get that to happen. And now she has a horse again. So she came for one small problem, and by working out why that problem was existing, we solved huge problems. Now, when she needs to want more for herself in her future, in whatever manner it is, whatever aspect of her life it is, she doesn't have anything holding her back. And that's how simple it actually is. That's not a fluke. It happens every time. And I work very, very hard in session to make sure it happens for you every time. If there's something to find, I'm going to find it. I can't stop until I find it. So working with your mind environment is not optional. If you refuse to solve the problems in your life from a mental perspective, then you are consenting to keeping a problem. If you've watched this video or other videos of mine, and you have heard me say that it is completely possible to solve these problems by working out what it stems from, and you still don't step forward and do it, then you are consenting to keeping that problem, because it can actually cost you nothing. If money's the problem, allow me to film you and I'll write it off for marketing. If it's not money that's the problem, what is the problem? Do you want to keep your anxiety? Do you like feeling it? Now, some people might have an addiction to the adrenaline that comes up when you have an anxious moment. When you have an interaction with the world and it confronts your belief that you don't know what it is, but I'll help you find, your belief is confronted, your mind goes, ooh, and then adrenaline jumps up. Now, what happens when adrenaline jumps up? Well, we learned this in the first episode. Adrenaline comes up, and then blood sugar comes up, and then insulin comes up, and then we have inflammation, we have blood sugar rising, we have insulin rising, and we have cortisol coming along at a big enough level to chase it all away. And its anti-inflammatory properties try to settle it all down. Now, that's okay if you have very intermittent things going on. But what if you're trying something new and you're confronting yourself every single day? What if you're going into a new environment and it starts confronting you every single day? You can't change the environment. If it's a challenge that you're taking on, whether it be lowering your carbohydrates or not drinking coffee anymore, or going to the gym, or walking every day, whatever it is for you. Everyone has a different thing that they need to get on with or to stop doing. Now, when you challenge yourself by restricting or getting yourself to do something new, you only have two options. If you have a mental environment that's stopping you, making it too hard for you, you either go in and get help working in your mind environment, or you give up. One or the other. They're your choices. So, emotional alignment is a method that I would bet my life on, because I did bet my life on it. I can't explain to you how ill I've been on so many levels for so long. At the age of 35, I made a vow to the greater whatever. I didn't even know what it was then. I made a vow to do whatever I have to do, go wherever I have to go. I'll even give up everything that I have in this physical world just to feel joy, to feel happiness, to feel something, feel good. And I made that vow because I was going down. I was working so hard in the physical world, and my mental mindscape was full of rubbish, like dumpster fire. It's taken me 15 years because I had to work out what to do. I had to work out how to do it. I had to then do it. And then I had to become masterful at it. And I haven't done much of anything else because I promised myself that I would clean up that mess, whatever it took, and I would die trying. And you know what? I got injured a couple of years ago with an injection thing, and I nearly did die trying. And that was the last little twist to the tail when I was lying in hospital thinking, oh, shit, I'm out of time and I haven't finished. And now I can't live the life that I'm meant to live. That was a very sad moment, very disappointing time. But yet, I'm back because just because I had that moment doesn't negate the promise, the vow that I will do anything, I will go anywhere, I will give up everything just to feel joy and happiness, feel well, clean. And that's what I do with my life. Every moment, that's what I do with my life. And yesterday, I heard myself say, I was on the phone to a family member, and I heard myself say, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be building this for the rest of my life because there's nothing more important than this. And I've done it for myself now. I've done the hard yards. I've done the exploration. I've been the I've been the one that goes first. I've created this, and now it's time to share it because it works. I'm here and I'm well, and I've been so unwell for so long, but now I know. I know how it works, and I'd love to help you with tweaking it just how you want it. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. Please subscribe to the channel and email us if you'd like more information about life coaching. Here's a playlist for the entire series. Please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. See you in the next video.